You have been doing the work, you have been affirming, and probably for quite some time, but then all of a sudden, out of the blue, the 3D shows you the opposite. This could be something like you have been manifesting contact with your SP, or for your SP to express their love for you, and all of a sudden they block you, or all of a sudden you notice there's a third party. Or you could have been manifesting money and then you get a bill, or you have been manifesting health and your pain gets worse. Something like that, where it's the complete opposite right in front of you. In this video, I'm going to talk about why that happens, and of course give you some solutions, what you can and should do in these cases. The reason I want to explain why things like this happen is, first of all, because you guys are asking me this here and there under different videos. I was doing my work, my mental diet was perfect, and then all of a sudden this happened. Why is this happening? And also, I find that when you understand why something happens, it becomes easier for you to understand what you need to do. And therefore, it also becomes easier for you to persist, because you have a reason that you understand that if I do this, I will get this result. Now, disclaimer, you don't need to understand any of this in order to manifest. When I started manifesting, the first period where I sort of got the hang of what I needed to do in order to manifest, I didn't understand the mechanics behind it. But I still manifested my desires. So what you need to do is to apply the law. And you can do this with blind faith, or you can stay with me and discover actually the mechanics behind why things like this happen, so that you also have the tools for another time that this may happen. If you need a more personalized help with your manifestations, you can of course book a one-on-one coaching session with me from the link in the description box below. You can also join one of my Manifestor Mastermind groups. In that case, please send me an email from my booking page, and let's talk about why sometimes when we start doing the work, the 3D shows us the opposite. First things first, this is not a law. Don't make the assumption that this needs to happen. This doesn't happen to everyone, and this doesn't happen with every manifestation. This is for those cases when it happens, so that you understand that there's a quote-unquote good reason behind it, and you don't make the assumptions that something needs to go bad in order to be good, or it needs to become worse before it can get better. There's nothing like that. These are all assumptions. If you have these assumptions, get rid of them, because assumptions manifest. So when something like this happens, it's because of one of three things. The most obvious and most boring one is that you're wavering. That's simply it. It can be as simple as that. So you are affirming a lot, you are doing the work, probably also quite a lot, but in between you are completely wavering. So you're going from your end goal to current reality to old stuff, to your end goal to stuff you remember from the past, to current reality, to your end goal, and it goes back and forth like that. You're not going to change anything like that, because you need to be persistent in one story. One story needs to become dominant. So you know, if you do this, if you are not sure, try to pay attention during the day. Talk to your coach. If you have a coach, they will help you understand how your thinking is during the day. If this is the most obvious one, and a lot of people are doing this without realizing it. So check in with yourself, see if this is you, and of course, when you realize, it becomes easier to correct the direction of your thoughts and imaginal acts, and that's it. But sometimes you are not wavering, you're not doing back and forth, you have been consistent for a period of time, and then the 3D hits you with the opposite. This can be Either because it is bringing up all the old opposing stories and assumptions that you have to the surface, to sort of, I see it like this. So you're affirming your beautiful reality where you're with your SP, or you have your money, health, all the beautiful things that you want to experience. And your subconscious mind makes you become aware of all the opposing stories that are in your subconscious mind. So it brings it up to you to say, hey, can you get rid of this so I can give you this beautiful reality that you're manifesting? And this can sometimes be in form of thoughts and fear and doubts, and I can't do this, I've never had it, why would this ever happen to me, etc., etc. So in thought form, or it can be in the 3D physical form. Either way, it's to make you aware that, hey, you have these limiting beliefs. Can you get rid of this so that I can manifest this for you? So even though it may seem harsh and the complete opposite, never jump to the conclusion that your manifestation failed. If you're not at your end goal in your 3D, you're not done manifesting. It's as simple as that. I know it can be a bit difficult when you are in the middle of a 3D mess, but you're not done manifesting. No, you didn't fail. No, it didn't go wrong. You're simply not done. So see it as, okay, it's just making me aware. My mind, my own mind is making me aware that I have opposing stories. Another reason that this can happen, and we're talking in the case where you've done the work, you've been persistent, you haven't been wavering, you've been consistent and persistent, etc., and then the 3D hits you with the opposite. It can be bridge of events. Yes, this can be part of your manifestation. And we never know how things are going to unfold. So it could be because your assumptions are coming to the surface. It could also be your bridge of events, literally the thing that will bring you your manifestation, even though on the 3D it looks the complete opposite. In both cases, it is super important that you don't jump to the conclusion that you failed, because we're not done here. We're not done manifesting. I'm going to go to what to do in a moment. You don't jump to the assumption that something went wrong. You don't jump to the assumption that whatever is happening in the 3D, that's it. That's true, that's fixed, never going to change. This is the reality. So what do you need to do when you are facing a 3D that is nowhere near what you were manifesting? One of two things. You can acknowledge that happened. This feels bad. It happened. I hate it. And then change the story, though. It happened. This is happening. I realize that I'm seeing this. I'm experiencing it. But this is not my end goal, so I'm not going to focus on this to not manifest more of it. I also don't need to focus on it. There's no real reason for me to focus on this. I might as well go inside and focus on my end goal. Just persist in your end goal. That's the solution. Your end goal includes the solution to whatever you're dealing with. So you do that. Or you can not acknowledge what happened in the 3D and change the story, which looks like this. Whatever this is not what is happening. This is not my manifestation, and this is not what is happening. What is happening is, and then you tell the story the way you want to experience. This is a type of revision on the spot, which is a wonderful technique to get used to, just to use here and there. So do what feels easier. And in this this kind of cases, I always say do whatever brings up less resistance, unless you are comfortable with resistance, you just want to bulldoze over it and you feel good about it, you can do that. But you don't have to. You can simply pick the way to treat the 3D that is easiest for you, just so that you don't stay there mentally, emotionally. We need to bring your mind out of the 3D, because whatever happens in the 3D, it's a physical manifestation of old stuff anyway. So there's no point in dwelling more on it. So either acknowledge and change the story, or don't acknowledge that. That's not even what happened. This, to be honest, I have used this many times. I mean, not acknowledging at all. Like, no, this is not what is happening. No, this is not what's happening. My manifestation is happening right now. And staying with it for a while. This has been one of the quickest way that I have seen the 3D completely change. And in the moment, it can feel unchangeable, unshakable, fixed, the ultimate truth. It can feel like whatever. If you are able to just not acknowledge it and like completely change the story, like that's not what happened at all, your manifestation is already here, persist in that, and you will see that 3D crumble and shift into whatever you're manifesting so quickly, you will feel like it's magic. The reason that we react is mostly because of our old self. When you are reacting to things like this, just realize that it's your old self reacting, because your new self, who has your manifestation, wouldn't react to that thing, because first of all, that thing wouldn't happen and there would be no reason for you to react. And with your reaction, you can control the 3D. Neville Goddard has chapters on reaction, on reacting, on not reacting to the 3D. But this is something that can be trained. So if you have been reacting and spiraling, it's okay. You didn't ruin anything. Don't worry. What matters is what you do from now on. Now you realize that your reaction was your old self. We don't need that self anymore. Now we are the new self who has our manifestation and who has the confidence of our new situation. So ponder on that a little bit, dwell on that a little bit, and try to, if you can, in the moment, as you're reacting to the 3D, try to see if you can remember and remind yourself that, ooh, this reaction is my old self with all my insecurities and limiting beliefs that I don't recognize anymore. This is my old self, my old story. We don't do that anymore. And then remind you of your new self and your manifestation. And this is more or less where you can either acknowledge that, yeah, this happens, but I'm my new self with my manifestation, so that's what I'm focusing on, or bulldoze over it, like, no, this is not what happened. I'm not identifying myself with this old story and my old self, my old ways of reacting. This is not what is happening. My manifestation is exactly what is happening. I'm going to stay with that. End of story. This would be enough. If you can persist in that, that's it. That's all you need to do. What is important is not what happens in the 3D ever. What is important is what you dwell on and what you tell yourself and what you keep telling yourself. So work with that. And if you need a more personalized help with your manifestations, you can, of course, book a one-on-one coaching session with me from the link in the description box below. Or you can join one of my Master Manifestor Mastermind groups. In that case, please send me an email from my booking page so that we find a group that is comfortable for your time zone. Have a beautiful day and see you in the next video.